Hello, I'm Frank Fellers, owner of Fellers. Today we're going to talk about the Seal It pen and 3M's Edge Sealer, liquid edge sealer. And I've learned over the years that sometimes it's important to seal those edges. Really fortunate to have Justin Pate here. He's the world's leading wrap trainer, owner of the Wrap Institute. You do a lot of video training. Justin, tell us why it's important for wrap installers and sign makers to have these edge sealers in their tool chest.
For me, this product is all about long-term durability. Once you put the window perforation on, or you wrap around a wheel well or underneath the body, sometimes chemicals and stuff like that can get underneath the film. Like window perforation has those loose edges, so what this does is it puts a nice seal on it. It doesn't hold, it allows the material to hold, because basically if moisture gets under, it fails. This keeps that moisture from getting under. So basically, as an installer, you want to have both of these in your toolkit, because this is generally puts a nice, good, clean edge, which is really good for windows. This is a little thicker, but that's really good for underneath the car. So again, you want to use both for different circumstances, because again, if you don't use this, that opens the door to the material failing. You definitely want to do that. So what I'm going to show is a lot of different tips and tricks of how to use this product, where to use it, because again, for me, this just makes a vehicle or whatever you're wrapping last for the long term.
Very cool. Thank you, Justin.
Fellers carries two types of liquid edge sealer. The first one is the 3M Dauber can. Product number is 3950. And it comes in an 8-ounce can. Be careful that the product is flammable, so if you're working with a propane torch, never work with the torch on when the can is open. All instructions and drying times are on the back, and the applicator is on the inside of the can. So to get to the applicator, you simply twist off the top, and then, because there's excess edge sealer on the dauber, you want to make sure that you take any excess off on the edge. Make sure that it drips back inside the can and on the outside edge, because this can dry and make it difficult to open the can at future times, because it'll dry and then seal the can shut. So when you're done applying, simply just put the dauber back in, seal it nice and tight, and that is the 3M Edge Sealer 3950. Then you also have the Seal It pen. Seal It pen comes in a bag, and the instruction care sheet is inside the bag, so make sure you get that out, and if you've never used this before, read it thoroughly. And you also have an extra tip that comes in the bag, so you have one fresh tip that is in the pen and then a backup tip. Again, all care and instructions are here. Make sure you prime it. Very important to prime the tip so it stays moist, especially for the long term. So again, follow those instructions closely. And for the Edge Seal pen, simply twist off the cap, and what's great about this pen is it fits really nice in tool bags. So again, you can really be mobile with this. So you can see the tip has a spring in the back, and you can push it in and out, and you have two different styles of tip. One is flat for rounder, wider strokes, and the other is thinner. So for different styles of applications, you can rotate the tip, and especially even as it wears down, you can rotate it and then replace it when need be. So you always have two styles of tips for a wide variety of different applications when applying window perforation, for example. One of the primary uses for liquid edge seal is underneath vehicle bodies. These areas are exposed to a lot of chemicals, a lot of moisture, so to seal these areas properly is extremely important for long-term durability. And because wheel wells in particular don't have a large surface area behind them, you can't use edge seal tape. This is when you want to use the 3M Dauber can, because it puts a nice generous coating on, plus it's not visual. Underneath wheel wells and underneath the rocker panels, the client's not going to see these areas, because again, the Dauber can puts on a nice big coat of edge seal, but it's sometimes not even. So aesthetically, definitely don't want to use this on visual areas, but underneath wheel wells and rocker panels, it works great. So again, make sure you get a nice generous fill on the dauber right there, and then you can rotate it as you turn. So make sure it's nice and full, and then rotate it so it puts a nice even coat on. Don't keep one edge in one direction, because that'll tend to dry out and leave the other side full. So again, make sure all excess edge seal is off the dauber and doesn't drip on the outside of the can. And then start at one edge and simply, again, there's a good shot of it rotating. So again, rotate the ball to put that nice even coat on. You want half edge seal on the material and half on the body. And generally you can get one whole rocker panel out of one full dauber tip. And a very good tip is to make sure that you start at one point and do a 360 around the car. So if you start with one wheel, let's say on the back rear of the passenger side, make sure you go work clockwise or counterclockwise and come back to that point where you started. So you want to make sure you get 100% underneath, and that really is a good tip for long-term durability. Now for window perforation, the 3M can, because of that wide dauber tip, can be a little sloppy for the edges here because it's hard to get exactly a good clean point on that line. It puts a thick coat on the window perforation, which can be great, and it seals it, but it can also go on the printed wrap on this side. So again, once this dries, it's hard to get off. So if you're using the Dauber can there, try to get that edge seal off immediately, and you can use isopropyl alcohol there, and then it comes off nice and quick. So again, the Dauber can is not ideal there. It's a little too wide. So this is when you want to use the Seal It pen. The Seal It pen puts a nice thin coat on the edge that blends in nice and easy, and then it doesn't also get on the full print film on the sides. So again, you can see that the tip goes in and out, so you want to make sure that as you're applying, you kind of push in and out. That keeps the tip nice and moist. So as you're pushing it, make sure it doesn't leave the edge, but just make sure that the tip goes out and in. You can see that it kind of forms a nice good shape based on the edge there, so just make sure you start at one point, do 360 degrees around the edge. And then let's say you're on location, you happen not to have the Seal It pen on hand and you need a thin coat on the window perforation. A good quick tip is to take masking tape and put masking tape, let's say about 1/8 of an inch on just on the inside portion of the edge there. So again, run the masking tape down and make sure it's nice and symmetrical, and then run the masking tape on the, let's say, the body side where the full print graphics are. So once you line those up and run that up, you can get a nice good point there where you can come back with the 3M Dauber can if you have that on hand, and then you want to make sure you get a nice, take off that excess, don't want too much on there, but then you can run this on the edge nice and easy, and the masking tape obviously is going to keep the edge seal from getting on the body of the car and getting too much on the window perforation. So this just exposes a little bit of the edge. Then a good tip if you're using this method is to remove the masking tape quickly. Don't let the edge seal dry because this can make it hard to remove the masking tape. But if you're removing the masking tape, just know that the edge seal is wet, so try to put that in the trash can right away. And here's a good example of how the edge seal works. It creates that nice, good protective layer. So in this case, I'm using a spray bottle to imitate rain. So imagine this is moisture while the car is driving. You can see that it really just drips off and doesn't get underneath those edges, particularly on wheel wells. By spraying it with moisture, you can see that it just simply slides off the edge there. So it doesn't get underneath there, it doesn't build up. So again, putting the liquid edge seal there is very important for not only keeping the chemicals out, but also once it dries, it's really hard to kind of pick an edge. So it actually almost holds the material a little bit. So that's an extra added bonus for edge seal, is that long-term durability. And then once you remove the graphics, is there any edge seal on the paint of the vehicle, what you can use is an adhesive promoter to soften it. So once you apply the adhesive remover, let it sit for 5 minutes to soften it nice and even. So put a generous coating on any kind of edge seal on the windows or underneath the body. Then once it's soft, you can come back with a plastic scraper and scrape off any excess. So it comes off nice and easy for the long term and won't damage the paint. So really nice and easy there. So once it's removed, you always go over the entire area to remove any kind of residue. And here's 2 quick tips for edge seal, is that these are 3 types of can. One is brand new, one is about 1.5 months old, and the other is about 6 months old. And you can see that if you throw it in your tool bag, it tends to get dented really quite easily. So you want to make sure that you put it in your tool bag in a safe spot so it doesn't get dented. But here is when excess gets dripped on the top, and once it dries, it's extremely hard to get that top off. So you have to be very, very careful about having any excess residue build up on the sides. And this is very, very easy to happen. Right here, simply by just pulling the top off, it dripped on the side there. So what you immediately want to do if you see any residue on the outside edge is you want to come back with isopropyl alcohol and you want to wipe that edge nice and clean and get it dry. You don't want to have any of the edge sealer on the outside. And then you also, again, want to put the can in a nice safe spot in your tool bag so it doesn't get damaged, because you want your can to look brand new for as long as possible. So again, don't get it dented or have any residue on the outside. And here's the last quick tip is for roll-up doors on box trucks or semi-trailers. They're generally, the back doors are made out of wood, very low surface energy. So when you apply the film, simply roll the door back up, and you could put this with the edge seal pin, gives that nice, good, clean edge there. And you want to make sure you seal all the edges on box trucks. This is really good for long-term durability. So make sure you do each panel, roll it down, and work from left to right, get 100% of the edge. And this will really help the graphics stay for the long term.